Looking for views that will literally take your breath away? Look no further than the Verdugo Mountains. On today's 9.5-mile hike, we will cross the Verdugos, traversing 3 major peaks and climb over 3,000 feet of elevation. We will climb up Mount Thom, Tongva Peak, and Verdugo Peak.
It's a challenging one today, but the views are definitely worth it. The route starts at Bram Park in Glendale, California, which is also home to this stunning library. The library was home to Leslie Brand, who donated his estate to the city after being diagnosed with terminal cancer in 1925. The library alone is worth the trip. There's plenty of parking at the library parking lot and at the park next door. If you don't find parking here, you can totally just park on the street.
At the parking lot, you'll also find water fountains and restrooms. I would definitely snag a drink of water before hitting the trail because there's no water on the trail and the Verdugos are relentless. This is one of those liter per hour kind of hikes. Do not underestimate the exposure and difficulty of the hike. The first leg of our journey is going to be ascending Mount Thom, 2,440 feet above sea level. Be prepared for 40% grades and to climb 1,500 feet in less than 2 miles. The trailhead is at the base of this storm drain, which feels a little bit weird at first, but quickly you will have hard-packed dirt under your feet. Don't go crazy off the gate. Again, it's gonna get super steep. Do not worry. The storm drain just lasts a couple minutes, and then again, it's going to turn into a normal trail. You'll have views really quickly as we're ascending really quickly, which is the one nice thing about challenging hikes. Whenever it feels horrible, just look over to the side and you'll see wonderful vistas. Did I say this trail was hard? One of the things that makes this trail so challenging is the exposure. This side of the mountain gets a lot of sun and can get really hot. There's virtually no shade. Be careful in the middle of the day, even in the winter months. Some of my hottest hikes have been recorded on this mountain. And as we get up, it continues to get steeper before we get our first little respite. All right, here we go. As you can see, it's still kind of hard-packed fire road, but it's gonna get a little dicey in a second. The next section of the trail gets very, very steep, hitting about a 49% grade, which is insane. Even when I run up this, I still power hike this section of the trail. There are little notches that you can see from other hikers in the hillside. Pay attention to them and your footing as it can get a little bit dicey here. After this section, there is a nice flat area where you can sit down. There's a few benches here. It's a great place to rest and have a sip of water. If you do not want to do the rest of the hike, this is also a place you could have lunch and hike back down if it's your first time. After this part of the trail, the crowds definitely start to thin out. There's a lovely runnable section before it gets relentlessly steep again.
Try to enjoy this part. Enjoy the nice runnable path. Enjoy the 360-degree views that you have and the fresh air that you can smell, because it's about to get really hard. I remember when I first did this and when I came to that flat top, I looked in front of me and I'm like, I don't know if I was in denial that I had to go up what I saw in front of me, but when you're approaching that steep section, it really almost looks like an impossible thing to hike. You have about maybe 3 or 4 segments coming up that are so steep, you're definitely gonna question what you're doing. One of the reasons to do this trail is challenge yourself, so just take a moment here and decide that you're going to do it. And it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be really tough and uncomfortable, that you can do hard things. You can always just take a second, stop, catch your breath, grab a sip of water. You don't have to go fast here, you just have to get through it. And I think it's less than half a mile. It might only be about a quarter of a mile here. There are 4 telephone poles. So once you see there's 3 more ahead of us. Once you get past those, you're done. And I use that to mentally get through this. Be aware that as you get higher up, the trail does become very rutted and there's a lot of loose gravel. You might have to use your hands to stay steady here. That's totally okay if you need to do that. Just be safe and take your time. Every time at this part, I'm like, when was walking so hard? Why do I hate walking so much?
The constant 40 to 48% grade definitely has me questioning what kind of shape I'm in, but when you feel yourself, like you will question yourself here, but you'll be almost done. You can do it. You'll see a bunch of trees and then you're there. You're at the fire road. Once you reach the fire road, you're going to turn a left here and stay going uphill a little bit. To your right will be Mount Thom, our first peak of today. You can totally take some time to run up to the radio tower if you want to, but today I'm just going to bear left and stay on the Los Flores motorway. You'll have a small descent here, and it's really nice because very quickly you'll start to get those wonderful 360-degree views. Now, it was a little bit gloomy of a day today. It does burn off and we'll get to see a lot more. But once you get to the top of the Verdugos, you can see everywhere and it's so beautiful. So to the left is going to be Burbank and maybe some of Glendale, kind of where we came from. And to the right is going to be La Crescenta, La Cañada. Maybe you can see Simi Valley from here if it's a clear day. But again, such a beautiful trail. The trail is going to pitch up a little bit as we head to our second peak of today, Tongva Peak. Tongva Peak was named after indigenous people that were from this region. Before colonization, they lived in semi-permanent villages all around the region, including the Verdugo Mountains, La Crescenta Valley, Cajamarca, and other parts of the San Gabriels. This primary summit was named in 2002 to honor the indigenous people. And it's one of, I think it's a cool summit here. You have this cool radio tower, and we start to see a lot of the wildflowers here today. Tongva Peak is 2,565 feet. Today we're going to continue past the radio towers, and you're going to go down this kind of semi-paved road. You get a little bit of a rest here, but for runs like this, when you go downhill, you're always like, man, I have to go back up. So I feel like that's always in my mind when I'm going downhill, but this definitely feels well deserved right now.
Feels so easy. Like, what a luxury just to be jogging on fire road right now. Nice steady incline with the fire road here. It feels like such a treat just to jog on some fire road. Right, you'll see Mount Lukens and the Los Angeles forest. That's another one of my favorites. I can't wait to take you there. But that's a little further out of the city. I like what I'm showing you today because it's one of the best workout hikes. It's a great training hike. And it's so close to everything.
Just up the road, you'll see this junction here of several different trails. You can put together a lot of really fun loops, but today we're just going to continue heading across the Verdugos. You can take this fire road to the right, but today we're going to make this a little bit spicier and hop on the Verdugo Crest Trail, which is the trail that actually straddles the spine of the mountain. So it's a little bit more difficult, it's a little bit more challenging, and you're going to get some up and downs. But if you really want to make this feel like an adventure, I feel like it's worth it at least to do part of the trail on the Verdugo Crest Trail. It does get really loose and rutted and very, very steep. There's even a little bit of exposure and a cliff to your left that's kind of hard to see. So watch your footing and be careful here. But once you get to the top, it is so incredible. You're just running through wildflowers and it really feels like you're not in LA anymore. You have a couple, maybe about a mile, a little more, mile and a half of just fields of wildflowers and blue skies. You can again hang right here, but I'm gonna stay on the Crest Trail because it's just incredible and amazing. Again, giant ruts, and there's a little bit of exposure to your left, so just be careful. And here I definitely needed to use my hands and
I think one hand, two legs, and pretty much was crawling. It was so steep. I think this gets over 50% grade, maybe 60%. It's definitely some rock scrabbling, but the views just get more impressive and otherworldly. We're on top of the pollution here. It smells incredible, and it was amazing to run here. There's so many wildflowers right now. I mean, look at this. I have no words. I felt like I was in Lord of the Rings here. In the distance, you'll see a couple of radio towers. That's where our journey ends, but we still have a little bit of a ways to go. It can kind of feel like you're almost done here, but there's still a lot of running to do. This section here gets really, really steep. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's some very loose rocks, and it's really easy to slip and fall here. I've done it before, so just be careful, keep your footing, and as you get tired, it's easier to fall, especially on these harder, more technical sections. If these technical parts kind of scare you a bit, I would maybe do one of them and then get back on the fire road. But these sections up at the top of the spine are kind of what makes the climbing that we did earlier worth it, in my mind. I mean, this just feels so otherworldly. All the flowers, it's just so beautiful and nothing like I've experienced before. I think that California gets a bad rap for people saying the hikes aren't interesting, but the plants here are just so different. It's so cool. I'm gonna hop on the fire road for the last part of this. You can continue to take the crest trail to your left. There are some mountain bike jumps and it's really steep. And I'm always like afraid that a mountain biker is gonna go over a jump and then land on me. I've never seen one up there going down that trail, but it's always a fear that I have in the back of my head. You can take this fire road all the way, it loops around, but I'm gonna make a sharp left here and take this little back kind of driveway up to the first of the next couple of radio towers. So I think we have 3 more to hit. So after you hit this first one, yes, you're gonna keep going up. I feel like this hike is always going up. You're always going up, even on the way down. So this is the second radio tower. Once you hit this one, just make a quick left and we have a little bit more climbing to do, but we're almost there, I promise. So you're gonna make a left and then you have this really little hill here. And at the top of this hill, there is a nice bench where you can sit and take in the views. It's a really lovely place. You can you get that 360-degree view again. You can see the Verdugos, you can see the Los Angeles forest. And we're gonna head down and then up to that first tower in the distance. So you do get a little bit of a steep down here, and the downhill sections at this point start to become really challenging because your legs are tired. And I'm gonna come back to this at the end of the run because it's definitely gonna hit you hard at that last descent. But let's get to the top here. So you can always take the fire roads around, but at that radio tower, you'll be at the top of Verdugo Peak, which is the highest peak in this mountain range. Yeah, you did it, 3,126 feet. Now, time to head back down. I'm kind of running out of time, so for time's sake, and I'm usually tired by the end of this run, I usually just hang left and kind of get a little lazy here and take the fire road all the way back down. You can run a lot faster. It's just smooth, kind of double wide dirt path. It's mostly slightly downhill. Again, a great place to practice your flat and slightly downhill trail running. There's not a lot of people on this side of the mountain either, which is nice. And it can be a little bit cooler because I feel like the other side of the mountain is baking a lot more. As you can see in the distance there, that's actually where we ran down. So running on the crestline trail, you do get quite a bit of extra elevation. So I wonder what the total elevation for this hike is if you do it the crestline trail both ways, which I'll have to try one time, but not today. We're just going to take the easy route down, and there's some moss on this side of the north side of the mountains. It must stay a little cooler, so you'll see a few different types of plants and vegetation, which is going to be a little nice. Here you'll have another opportunity to get back on the crestline trail. So what I said, you can take a little bit of rest and then come off and on it, decide if, hey, you're feeling up for making it a little bit harder, or you can continue to take the fire road and give yourself an easy ride down the mountain, because we still have a hard section left. Stuff will kind of start looking familiar, and we are getting kind of close here, so keep going downhill and don't forget to still take in the views, because they're beautiful. Unfortunately, you're going to hang right at this fork, and we're going to go back up. We're going to hit Tongva Peak again, so that's what this little uphill here, it really was horrible, but it's almost there. And then between Tongva Peak and Mount Thom, it's not too bad. It's a little down and then up again. Here you're just gonna hang right and you can jog down this fire road. Enjoy the easy fire road here until we get to our last part of today's adventure, and that's going back down the south face of the mountain. If you've never done something like this before, it's probably going to feel a little bit scary. That's okay. I'm going to give you a few tips when descending things that are super steep. First, go at the pace that you want to. You don't have to race anyone downhill today, but a couple really important things that are going to help you down this hill is to shorten your stride. Avoid the tendency to want to take really long strides. I like to think about being light on my feet, taking a lot of little steps. And one thing that I do, especially when it's really steep, is I'll actually zigzag and almost create little switchbacks. So I don't have to run straight down. I can just add my own lighter gradient, and that can really help and make the descents seem not as scary. It's going to take time to build the quad strength to run down grades like this, but with a little bit of practice, you will get it, and it gets less scarier as you go. You'll be back at the trailhead in no time and back at your car. Your quads are gonna burn and you'll be so happy to be back at the park. All right, let's rate this hike. This is one of my favorite workout hikes. Difficult, challenging terrain, and requires a lot of endurance and strength. Some routes you'll find yourself doing kind of a class 2 scramble where you might have to use your hands a bit, so it can get a little bit technically challenging if you take the Verdugo Crest Trail. Scenery, 7 out of 10. Really great views of the city, but nothing like, going to a national park or something. You're still in the city and you're very aware of that, but some of the best 360-degree views of Los Angeles. Runnability, this is going to score a little bit lower here. I put a 6 out of 10, so there is some fire road, and to be fair, you can stay on the fire road for longer than I did, but the steepness and the technical rocky sections make it so it's really challenging to run the whole thing, or you're gonna have to be a really experienced trail runner to actually run the whole thing. So if you're looking for an easy trail to start trail running, this is gonna be more of a power hike with running. Safety, 7 out of 10. You will most likely have cell reception for most of the hike because you are on the top of the mountain, but there is some exposure and it's really hot, so you could still get into trouble on this hike. I've also seen rattlesnakes, and I have seen a mountain lion here before. So even though you're so close to the city, you're definitely a little bit in some real nature here. So safety, 7 out of 10. Crowds, 6 out of 10. It is crowded at the base of the trail and the parking lot's crowded. The trail stays crowded until about the first section. The crowd will thin out, but you might hear some people with speakers here, which can be really annoying when you're trying to enjoy the outdoors. Adventure score, I'm actually going to give this an 8 out of 10 for being so close to the city. You definitely get a real sense of adventure here. Like when I finished this hike, I am just tired and exhausted, and it really felt like I was out in the woods, which you don't always get, when you're just 10 minutes from the city. So that's really cool. It's a really immersive
hike, and it's really fun, and it does require some planning with your equipment and water, and it feels like you get a ton done by the end of the day.
All tallied up, this brings this trail to a total of 7.2 out of 10, making it a staple for trail running and hiking in Los Angeles. It is a fantastic city hike, like 10 minutes from downtown pretty much, with challenging terrain and fantastic views. You will get a great workout on this hike, and it is a must if you're training for any trail races or if you're planning on a challenging hike that's out of your comfort zone. Thank you for joining me today, and make sure you like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and I will see you next time.